Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
We are back, and appreciate you taking time to cruise in for Car Club Talk with Robert, Randy, and Dana. Robert, who do we have in the studio with us right now?
We have Billy Link. He is the owner of TireLink. They have 4 locations in the surrounding areas. And Billy, can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. We really just specialize in delivering the great customer service experience. We're primarily tires, wheels, and then the services go along with that. Your rotations, free rotations, free flat repairs, free tire inspections, and then of course the balancing that goes along with the tire.
Okay. We said we have 4 locations. Can you go ahead and let us know what locations those are?
Yes, sir. So our first location, Spring, that was our very first one in 16. Our second location's in Tomball, right there off of Business 249, right there where they just built the new Costco, and there's going to be a retail center going in there.
Yeah. Tomball's growing pretty good, isn't it?
It is, especially the south side of Tomball. They've kind of populated and built everything out in the middle of Tomball.
Right.
And I think now they've been kind of forced to come more south to open up all that land down there. So,
Yeah, city finally meets the country.
Yeah.
right, yeah. And they were really easy to work with. A lot of great people over there. They like the growth, and they like to bring in more.
The Chamber of Commerce of Tomball?
They're great as well. And then even everyone in the city when it comes to the engineers and the
Permitting and all that.
right, yes sir. So they were really easy to work with. So our third location's in Magnolia, and then our fourth location is in Humble, which it's in the Atascocita area. So we consider that
Which is
location.
another busy area, the
It is
Atascocita. Yes.
1960, and it's getting better. The construction is on the downside. They just poured the sidewalk in front of our location. We've got our driveways now, so now we've just got to move some dirt around and then put some grass down and move the barrels out of the way.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's been ongoing forever, hasn't it?
it has.
Yeah.
It has. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Billy, when you jumped into this business, it was like your dream while you're growing up, right, to jump into the tire business?
Oh yeah. As we were talking earlier, I don't know if anybody goes through high school and say, all right, I'm going to change tires for the rest of my life. No one really thinks that way. I think this is an industry a lot of us fall into, other than mechanic, the motor building and the fun stuff. But when it comes to tires, really, there's not a whole lot of people that say, all right, I'm going to change tires for the rest of my life.
Be a tire guy, yeah.
Right. So I kind of fell into it when I was 19 years old. From there, then it kind of morphed into something greater that we started. So.
Yeah.
So that was we were when we were talking earlier. I was talking about competition sales, but I can remember I had a '74 Pontiac Le Mans, and I went out and got some Kragers, and then some obviously wider tires, and some air shocks. But
Air shocks.
I remember those.
I've never heard of that in a long time.
That was a while back.
Did you have the valve, the core out the back of your bumpers so
Yeah.
you can air them up? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'd be always slicing the side of your tires. You know?
Right.
But I would always be hitting a curb or something and bending my wheels. And back then with the Kragers, you could just take a wrench and straighten them back out. But then later on, a little Mercury Capri I got some cast tires, some cast wheels. And that becomes a whole different ballgame then, getting those balanced and stuff. Has that gotten better now over the years? Are they easier to balance? I know they can still be cracked, but they can be fixed.
Right. So the aluminum wheel is an easier wheel to balance. However, they are becoming larger diameters, larger widths. So the weight factor is kind of still there.
Yeah.
Like the steel wheels back in the day. But a fun fact in a way, I don't know if you guys know where the wheels are always called mags back in the day.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, that's right.
You know why they were called mags?
No.
They were made of magnesium.
Oh, okay.
So
No, I
that's
didn't know
where they didn't have aluminum back then. It wasn't aluminum wheels back then. It
Yeah.
was magnesium wheels.
Yeah,
So then they
okay.
called them mags. Then it transitioned into alloys.
Yeah.
Well, they're alloys because
And
they're
if I
built
remember
with
correctly,
aluminum.
the magnesium rims were not very shiny.
No, they're like a dull.
Yeah, like a dull aluminum look. You could not do anything to polish them up.
Right, right, and they were porous. They're pretty
Right.
porous.
And
as
what
well.
about the steely wheels? Wasn't that something back then too?
The
they were calling
Kragers?
them? Is that
The
yeah?
Krager SS
Yeah.
Chrome.
We
It's
all
just a
we all
little-
had wheel locks, man.
Right, yeah. And a steel wheel is actually softer than an aluminum wheel. They carry less weight than an aluminum wheel. So a lot of people get that wrong as well. If you want something that's going to carry more weight, you want to do an alloy or aluminum wheel. And then you can get into forged, which is stronger than a regular cast aluminum.
Right.
But your steel wheels, even on trailers and such, if you want a trailer that carries more weight, you have to start with the wheel that holds more air pressure, and then you have a beefed up tire, whether it's a 12 or a 14 ply, all steel. But you really gotta make the aluminum wheel with the tire that can carry more weight, because now you've got a tire that can carry more air pressure, more weight, but the steel wheel can't hold the air pressure. So it's, people think of steel being strong, but when it comes to wheels, I can straighten a steel wheel. I can't straighten an aluminum wheel
Right.
with our little dog bone, because the steel is soft.
Yeah.
So
And I know that another thing about the evolution of the wheel from growing up, the wheels back then were even the big Impalas were 15-inch. You don't
Oh, yeah.
you don't
Yeah,
ever hear of a
everything, yeah.
15-inch rim anymore.
Except on
Everything's
Jeeps,
now,
maybe.
Yeah, now everything's like 19s and 20s that are coming
Right.
on cars from the factory. You
Right.
don't ever hear a 14 or a 15-inch rim anymore.
right.
Unless it's on
So-
the classic cars too.
Yeah.
Right, and then other than the aesthetics, right? Because the larger wheels to us nowadays, being more modern, they look better. But do
Yeah.
you guys know why manufacturers increase wheel diameters over time?
No.
So, in order to make a car stop better and safer, you got to get bigger brake calipers and rotors.
Yep.
You can't put a 15-inch wheel over a larger brake caliper and rotor. So
Right.
you've got to go with a larger wheel diameter, 16, 17, 18-inch wheels, right?
Yeah.
Beyond that, you got lower profiles, which makes the car more responsive, handles better, and all of that is safer. So,
I never knew any of that.
Well, I would think that the 15-inch rim that had the bigger tire, the tire wall, actually, I think that's what you call it, it would give a smoother ride. Is that necessarily true?
with the suspension nowadays, you've got all this adaptive, self-leveling, sport mode, comfort mode, the shocks, the air suspension. Within that assembly, yes, you get a rougher ride, but then now that you've got the components and the suspension that absorbs it,
So it's doing all the work that
much
the big
more
tires
today
used to do.
than back then.
Okay.
It's
Back then, when
independent
you
of
had
the
just a
wheel.
regular spring and shock, you felt all of that.
Right.
And you do. I mean, even nowadays, you can feel the difference when you go from a 20-inch wheel to a 22 or a 24. You do feel a little bit more of that feedback from the
Right.
lower profile. But the suspensions nowadays on the modern cars are so much better.
Or even on the trucks, going from a 20 down to an 18, there's a considerable difference
yes.
for better
Yeah.
ride. But have you guys ever heard of TireLink? Because people know
Oh,
of
yeah.
tire shops in the area, but I'd like Billy to tell us a little bit about how he started TireLink, because, you know, we're used to growing up with Discount and NTB
Yeah.
pretty
Right.
much, Firestone. So
Yeah, and and I'm not shy about saying or telling you where my experience came from, but so I was just looking for a job when I was 19 years old. I was working at a golf shop in Humble. I grew up in the area, graduated from New Caney High School. My buddies were working at a golf shop there in Humble. Worked there for a little bit, got laid off. I bought all my tires and wheels from Discount Tire in Humble there. Great people, great company. I was there so much they just kept asking me if I wanted to work there. I'm like, nah, I don't need a job, So I got laid off at the golf shop on a Thursday. I remember like it was yesterday. And this was in '94, November of '94. Went over there to Discount, talked to the buddies that I became friends with, and gave me an application. I started working there as a tire tech. Got to know more about the company and what the progressions of career and what abilities I had to grow with that company, right? So when I was in high school, college just wasn't for me. Just not a book kind of guy. Very hands-on. I can rebuild a motor, my dirt bike and four-wheeler, and I did that whenever I was young in my
Yeah.
preteens, and started there at 19 years old and figured out what the company was about. And once I figured that out and knew where I could grow and go to, it was head down, straightforward. I just felt very confident if anybody can do it, and this gentleman can do it, and he's driving a Mercedes, and this gentleman over here is managing a store. I felt like I was just as good, if not better.
Right.
And I don't like thinking of it as being conceited, but I was very confident in my ability to be able to just have a good work ethic, work hard. The hard work was never even hard work. I never looked at anything going, man, this is hard work. It was just normal for me to be able to change tires, run around, sweat, and at the end of the day, I felt like it was a good day's work, and I just felt, I guess, complete in a way.
Fulfilled.
Fulfilled,
Yep.
yes, sir. So did that, and 20 years later, or actually, within that time, I was able to grow and expand and become store manager and become a corporate assistant vice president through discount, went to corporate, Scottsdale, worked out of LA for a little bit, California. I think as a whole, it just killed my morale.
It'll do it too.
And I think that's whenever I became more political. But California it just killed me. My wife and the kids were there with me, and they loved it. Mandy loved it. It was a great outdoor, a lot of things to do.
What part of LA did you live in?
We lived in Southern California, Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley
Thousand
area.
Oaks. Okay, yeah, you were up in a nice part over there.
Right, it was beautiful up there. So that just killed me. So we ended up coming back. I left in 15, left discount, came back home. My brother was in underground, doing a lot of underground, and it was time for him to move on and start his own business as well. So I'm like, hey, Robert, I'm coming back. Let's start this Links Construction. So we started Links Construction doing underground. So I was in a hole for another year. For a year after that, we were digging holes, putting in underground sewer lines, water taps, fire hydrants, all the MJs and the valves, and so I learned that side of the business as well. And then it was just time to where I just felt like I just wasn't getting enough stimulation. I really like talking to people. I like just being around people. And my wife and I, and we were just talking, and finally just said, you know what, she's like, why don't you go open up your own tire company? I'm like, man, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, the tire company is really complex. A lot of people think that the tire is just black and round. Well, there's a lot that goes into a tire when it comes to selling, servicing, and the whole operations, point of sale, printers, workflow, efficiency,
Equipment, people.
vendors, suppliers. There's a lot that goes
Inventory.
into it. Inventory, big time. So anyways, when I finally made a decision, I said, you know what, let's do it. And I grabbed a yellow loose notepad, wrote down every single thing I knew about tires, wrote down my relationships, names that I knew, phone numbers that I knew, and called up some buddies of mine that worked for me before. And
Got like a team together.
yeah, I had one individual that was that's a good buddy of mine, and it was just him and I opened up the store. We found a location in Spring. I don't know, went and got an SBA loan, went and reached out to government, got an SBA loan, and we started out with 250 tires, had a little bit of working capital to work with, and it was just him and I. We worked every single day.
Just the two of y'all opened that
6
store.
days a week. I hired three tire techs.
Okay.
Any given time, we'd have 1 or 2 techs on the clock at the same time. They went to school. Some of them, a couple of them didn't. And we ran that store with probably 3 or 4 guys.
And that was the end of 2016, right? The
It was
last
August
quarter?
of 16. We
Okay.
opened up our first location.
Okay.
And we went in, remodeled, put some paint on the walls, and put some tire racks up. And from day one, from that store on, my focus was always, when we gathered our point of sale, everything that I focused on was to make sure that it operated and worked as if I had 200 stores, because that's my goal. My goal is not 200, it's not 300. It's maybe 400 or 500 stores. I want to open up as many stores as possible. I want to provide for all of our guys. Our guys are very passionate. They're great guys. They're just...
What is your business model to distinguish you different from Discount Tire?
I get that question asked a lot, right?
Really?
I mean, Discount Tire is a wonderful company. I've got a lot of great friends there still.
Did you
in
have their
corporate.
blessing?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there was no, they had no issue. And I still get phone calls from some of the guys today. I mean, they support us. And his word and a couple of guys, but there's enough business out there for us
Yep.
all.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe that competition is good. It keeps us all honest, right? As long as there's competition, there's not a monopoly going. It really keeps us honest. And if we really want to move forward and grow, we've got to do it with integrity. First and foremost, take care of our people, right? And that's a whole other piece of it. But going into that, I went off on a tangent. What did you
Well,
ask me again?
setting yourselves
Setting
apart.
yourself
How are you
different
different?
apart.
Yeah.
So I do get that question asked a lot, and I can't say, I don't compare ourselves to other people. I
Okay.
don't say, look, this is what sets me apart. I do this, they don't. They do this, we do it this way. At the end of the day, how I truly feel is we're a small company. We've only got 4 locations. We're a very tight-knit group of guys. And I'm going to keep this together as long as we can, whether we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 stores. But our guys are very, very passionate. And what you get when you come to our stores, are you're going to get guys that smile. They truly, truly care about your needs and what you're there for. We're not just pushing numbers out. We're not just herding cattle. You're going to get guys that are just very concerning. They're going to speak with you with empathy. They understand your struggles and what you're going through, whether you have a flat, you need 4 tires. And we're going to work hard. We're going to respect your time. We're going to get you in and out as quickly and safely as possible. And we do all of those things, but you're just going to get real people that just really enjoy working in the tire industry.
And it comes across in Billy's leadership too. You know, if you've ever been to a TireLink, you know the experience pretty much right away.
Yeah.
I've not. Tim Murray's was one of the Northside Club members who he had a black Generation 1 Mustang called Mustang Sally. He went to you, and he just couldn't stop ranting and raving.
And I told
enough
him to
about
go
you.
to TireLink.
Oh, I know you did.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. About 9 months after TireLink opened, I always welcome new automotive shops when they come to the area. I do a lot of research on them, and then I welcome them. Well, when I met Billy, he come to my shop, and we talked, and I knew right away he's something
So that's
different.
where you were sending all your customers for.
Yes,
they
because-
had tire needs.
And I'm very picky about where I tell people to go. And
Right.
once I met Billy and he came to the shop, and I could just tell by the way he spoke and the way he was telling me about his business, I was hooked.
Well,
And I sold my tire equipment, got an alignment machine, and sent all my
Everybody to
customers to
Billy.
Billy and all my car club affiliates.
I bought our tire equipment from her.
Did you? Yeah.
I did.
But every
She
single
could
person,
come visit it then.
Right.
and I
That's
can
right.
attest to the customer service because just like Billy said, they appreciate your time. You know, they really love what they do, and it comes across. You pull up to the parking lot, and they come and greet you, and from then on, you're just building a relationship.
Well, there were a couple of things you said while we were talking outside here. You've twice now I've heard you mention about having the passion for this, and I fully understand that because what I do for a living, I have just a passion for it, and that seems to permeate through to people. So I understand, and that's a huge thing when you have a passion for what you do. But then you also mentioned empathy just a second ago, and that's huge also. And I was going to ask him, is that something you got from Discount Tire? Is that something you got just grow? Is that something you got out of a sales book
You
somewhere?
learned growing up how you were raised.
I think all of that plays into it. I mean, I think of myself as a nice, genuine guy that is probably sometimes soft. My wife says I'm needy sometimes, but I'm just a soft kind of guy, and my feelings get hurt sometimes. And going back to that as well, like I tell all my guys, you know, there's certain people that say, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, I'm going to do what I do. I tell all my guys, it's okay to worry about what others think about you. I worry about what people think about me all day long. But if I can resemble a good person to others, and care about how I come across and care about the type of person I am, then there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay, because that's just going to help me become a better person today and a better person tomorrow. So we just, you know, when I help anybody that comes in, I don't like standing behind the counter because I go in front of the counter because I feel like I could be more of a friend than I don't like the word
You
salesman.
want to
We're not
get
really,
your customers' trust too.
Sure.
You know, they want to be able to trust you, and like you said, that they have a problem. You know, you're going out there to see what the problem is and try to fix it, and try not to sell. You know, I mean, yeah, you got to sell tires in order to make a living, but that's not why you're there. You're there to fix the problem they have.
Right.
But that's another thing too. Coming out from behind the counter removes one more barrier.
Right.
When you're belly to belly with them, that's just
Yeah.
that's a big thing.
And you're
And all
setting
of
an
our guys.
example that way too.
Yeah, and all of our guys, they think the same way. They're very passionate. They love what they do. I'm constantly thinking about what else can we do for our people. Mandy and I are very fortunate to be married to a wonderful woman. Mandy's very smart. She went to U of H, graduated with accounting degrees. She's one of the best when it comes to financial. She worked for Howard Hughes in the Woodlands for a while, doing their financial. She worked for couple other large companies doing their, being a financial piece of their corporate office. So she's very smart when it comes to that. But when it comes to our people, I just wish we had more money to do even more for our people.
Right.
I mean, they already take them on trips and reward them for their.
I know, but it's fun, and it's if they can have a good time and just kind of reap all the benefits that it's not, I mean, work sucks, right? I mean, nobody likes to go to work every day. We go to a building, a place of business that we can help customers brighten their day. We hang out with our buddies all day. We goof off. We still have a responsibility to be professional,
Right.
make sure customers are taken care of safely, doing all the torques and torquing the wheels to proper torque and workflow and all the stuff. But at the end of the day, we get to go hang out with our buddies.
And you're showing
And
your employees appreciation, though. That's
it's-
a really big
yeah.
thing
Right.
too.
And that's what makes them want to come back the next day.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what builds a team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it right there.
And you know-
they feel like a family.
You'll do anything for them, and they also will do anything for you.
Yeah, and as we open more locations, I can't stop opening locations, because if I stop opening locations, our business is dead. So as long as I can continue to open more locations and provide another spot for our guys that are going to work from within,
Yeah.
I've got several guys that want to be store managers, and I have to open up more stores for them. And then we just continue to grow, the tire techs into an apprentice program, and kind of give them that bug in a way to where they enjoy what they do. Because there's a lot of us that don't go to college, or you're kind of lost sometimes, and you really don't know what you want to do. But if you really enjoy something like this, then you can make a great living at it
Yeah.
and make good money.
And it sounds like you're just not satisfied with just getting a paycheck every week. You want to see this thing grow and grow and grow. And
Right.
And
Well,
you know-
he said it earlier. I mean, if he can just make somebody's day and put a smile on their face, whether it's getting them a used tire or being able to give them something free, something like that, it
Right.
just makes his day. You
Yeah.
know? And again, it's at the end of the day feeling fulfilled.
Right.
yeah.
And our
That's what
managers
you
and our people have that ability, and they do it all day long. I mean, they feel good about it. They don't have to call me. They don't have to ask. They do what's right. They understand that, hey, look, it's not about losing money on this tire. It's about helping someone
Right.
and gaining a relationship that's going to help us grow in the future. That's what it's about.
Well, you were talking about having more, wishing you had more money for your team. And part of that is you're in the retail business here. So you've got this with the competition, tire prices, you've only got so much margin you can work with.
Right.
And I could be wrong. I don't think that manufacturers' cost went down. They're continue to go up.
Right.
You know.
Right. So, and what's really cool about when we came in, in 2016 and 17, whenever I decided to do this, my main goal was to bring back the fun that I had when I started in tire industry back in the 90s. The larger companies that are becoming very large and corporate, the attorneys and the lawyers run those companies.
Mechanical,
they tell everybody
very
what they can and
mechanical.
can't do. Rightfully so. I understand that. When you get in that large, there's a lot more risk, safety aspects of it, and you've got to get everybody on the same
Yeah.
page.
And that's one thing I was going to bring up. You're in the tire business. There's a lot of liability for you right now.
Right.
So yeah,
There is.
the making sure that car goes out safely,
Right.
that there's not going to be any problems.
Right, and us being a smaller company, we can kind of get outside we can do things for customers. Hey, can you test fit this? I'm not the busy, big corporate.
You have more flexibility.
I can be more, right, and more personable and do things for the truck that's lowered on airbags. You know, there's things that I can do from a custom piece of it that doesn't really take me any more time, but I'm not just a cookie cutter, it's this way or the highway, like some of the Walmarts and the Sam's and Costco's. They won't put anything on that's not original.
And they won't do wheel
It's original only.
spacers and things like that.
Right. And the larger tire companies they're going that way as well, to where I can still have fun, take care of you as a customer. The guys get to see cool rides, and whether they're the Maseratis, Lamborghinis, we still work on the high-end cars as well, and we work on the classics, and majority of our vehicles are trucks and half tons, 3/4 ton, 1 ton, so we do all that as well.
You know, I was going to tell you guys that I went and spoke to the Woodlands High School students the other day, and I always come across younger males, teenagers or college age, and they tell me they want to get into automotive industry or school or whatnot, and always ask my advice. And you know how many of them I've told, start out with TIRELINK as your first job, seriously, because you want to make sure that number one, you're getting in with a good ethical company, who treat their employees well. You learn from the best, and you can possibly make a career out of it. But start there, and they get all excited. And I just think it's a wonderful opportunity for the young people, whether it's female or male, to get in with a good company like TIRELINK.
It's reasonably local for them, too. So you get somebody that's in high school that hasn't traveled, the United States or the world yet.
But get a good view of automotive right from the onset.
Right.
Because you can get tainted very easily in the industry. But to start out with a good company.
And
You ever go to a Firestone? I mean, you
Yeah,
see some
that
tainted
works.
people there.
Yeah, and that works with your college schedule, school schedule, very
Right.
flexible.
Very
but-
flexible when it comes to your school
Yeah,
schedule. And
so-
I've got a tire tech that I literally just spoke to yesterday. It's his last week with us. He's been working with us now for a little over a year now. But he thanked me for everything that he's experienced and the experience that he's got when it comes to working on the vehicles and tires and everything. But his passion was to go build motors and to do the mechanic side of it. He can't do that obviously with TIRELINK, but it was a very good stepping stone for him to understand when it comes to the air guns and tools and
getting a foundation.
jacks and jacking points and all
Well,
that.
working in a shop.
Yeah,
And
good
the
work ethic
repetition.
too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all huge. So, well, Billy, we appreciate you coming in. We're going to have to get out of here and get some station recognition, but really appreciate you taking the time because
Yes, sir.
4 stores, you're busy, and you're opening more. So I think you said you've got another one opening in 2025.
All right, 2025, we're going after a 5th location, and it's like I said, when we opened our very first store, they're like, how many stores do you have? I said, well, we only have one, but one day 200 or 300. Unfortunately, I got to go in order, 2 and then 3 and then 4. But we're very passionate about what we do, and we don't want to stop.
That's
Well, we
good.
love highlighting small businesses, so we're glad you're able to take the time for us today.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you for coming in.
You're welcome. Yep, thank you.
All right, man. Well, we will give these guys some station recognition. This is Cruisin. I've done that twice now. This is Cruise Club.
Cruisin Car Club Talk.
Thank you. Thank you for getting that out.
Yes.
On Lone Star 104.5 and 106.1, or for those Globetrotters out there, we can be streamed worldwide on irlonestar.com, on Facebook, YouTube. I'm Randy Weldon.
I'm Robert Helmer,
Dana?
and we'll be right back.
Car enthusiasts of Conroe, FM 104.5 and 106.1 Lone Star Community Radio invites you to shift into gear every Monday from 1 to 2 with Cruisin Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy for news on all things automotive in the greater Houston-Conroe area. Can't make a live show? We've got you covered. You can find all of our uncut content, including full episodes on Spotify, iTunes, Play Store, YouTube, Facebook, and irlonestar.com. Again, that's Mondays 1 to 2, Cruisin Car Club Talk with Robert and Randy. See you there.
Thank you for taking time to cruise in for Car Club Talk with Robert, Randy, and Dana. And welcome to our home in the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, housed here in Conroe Tower, and the county that is the official birthplace of the flag of the Lone Star State. I'm Randy Weldon along with Robert Helmer and Dana Pritchard. And sequestered back in the safe room / sound booth is our sound engineer and producer, Dick Schischler. We are broadcasting from Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 and 106.1 FM. And streaming worldwide on irlonestar.com, YouTube, and Facebook. What's your name again?
Robert Helmer, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about Driver Safety Week. October the 20th to 26th is Teen Driver Safety Week. Sadly, traffic crashes remain one of the leading causes of death for 15 to 18-year-olds in the USA, a sobering reality for the nation and auto enthusiast community. So this is something we need to focus on. I think we need to focus on this all year round. It's supported by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and they encourage, and I do too, for the parents to talk to their teens about safe driving habits and talk to them about critical issues like impaired driving, seat belts. You know, seat belts is one thing. Also, when there's always a crash with the teenagers, it seems like the driver has his seat belt on, but the passenger gets ejected because they didn't have theirs on and they die.
Or one of the 17 passengers.
Right. So I think parents really need to focus on this. You just don't, just because they got their driver's license and you gave them the key doesn't mean that they know all the good driving habits. They're not safety conscious.
We're talking about teenagers, right?
I know we're talking about teenagers, and this is what I was going to
how much did you listen to your parents when you got the keys to the car and left the house? After you get out the driveway?
That's what I kind of wanted to talk about. I talk to my kids about what I did when I was a teenager. I do. I'll tell them I did this, I did that. It wasn't right, but I lived through it. But it could have gone wrong. Something could have happened.
I think I mentioned a couple of shows ago that there's a foundation called the Kaylee Mills Foundation, a local in Montgomery County in the Woodlands, because the young lady wasn't wearing her seatbelt and died in a car crash, and they started a foundation about seatbelt safety and also about young driver safety too.
Right, and it doesn't stop with just driver's education and getting your driver's license. There's other courses out there. There's safety courses for teens that they could take.
I look, I got my driver's license, and I probably didn't start off wearing my seatbelt initially.
Yeah.
That came later.
They didn't have laws back then to wear a seatbelt.
they did have laws, and they had seatbelts.
They didn't even have a lap belt back then.
They had lap belts. They had all that stuff by the time I came along.
And you could still smoke in your car with the windows up with all the kids in the back seat.
You could smoke in a restaurant back then.
Yeah. Or the kids could be in the back deck, the dash
right.
part of it.
That's right.
Because I used to do that as a kid too. If we were going on long journeys, I'd get back there and be laying out and see out the back window.
You can have the baby in the front seat.
You mentioned that. I can remember we had a station wagon, and Dad would throw the kids in the back in the station wagon, but the back window was down. It was electric. We're all just hanging up the back, waving. I remember losing a baseball cap one time as a kid, crying. Dad, stop and get it. No, that wasn't happening.
So I do sit down with my kids and I tell them about my younger days and what I did, and just tell them, it could have gone wrong, and don't do this. Let's be a little more safety conscious, and let's still enjoy your car. But there's, I think one thing I teach them to do is walk around the car to make sure the tires are all up and everything's mechanically ready to go before you get in the car, and wear your seatbelt and put the phone up while you're driving.
Well, that's the other aspect of it nowadays with all the technology. And the distractions, they're distracted more than ever, the teenagers. It's not just having some friends in the car with you or the radio station.
Yeah.
It's your phones and
screens. Phone's a problem. That's a problem.
And that's what I wanted to ask y'all. Can you tell me about your first car and your first car experience when you were a teenager?
Yeah, well, sure. I was 16 years old. I worked at Safeway grocery store as a checker. And I bought my first car from my next-door neighbor who was getting ready to go to college and didn't need a car. So for $300, I bought her 1977 Toyota Corolla hatchback.
Okay.
It was brown and had no air conditioning, but it was 3-speed.
Yeah.
It was 3-speed with a tape deck, and I just loved it. I was happy as can be.
Yeah.
And I was taught how to drive on a standard from my dad, Bruce. He taught me how to drive on his 1980 BMW, so I got to drive.
That's important too. Teenagers they don't seem to learn to drive manual cars right now. And that's one of the slowest selling cars on the lot, the manual, because nobody knows how to drive them. If you go to a valet, you can't get a valet because nobody there knows how to drive a standard. They can't park your car. I've been asked many times to park my own car at a valet.
I saw a meme last night that said valet, and they had a thing taped to the top that said no stick shift.
No stick shifts, yep.
So that was my car. I loved it. So.
Yeah.
Until I got to the Woodlands and saw the BMWs and Camaros and Mustangs and the Mercedes and the Cadillacs in the parking lot. My 77 Toyota wasn't cool.
Yeah.
But to me it was.
Mine was a 67 Mustang, and the price was the same thing, about $500. And that was my high school car, and I had a blast with it.
I had a 64.5 Mustang that was 3 on the tree. I paid $400 for it. And
Did it have air conditioning?
didn't have air conditioning.
It had.
And we lived there in Oak Ridge North, and I drove, so it was 13 miles to Conroe High School. But I had to work on it every weekend in order to get to school every week, and that was just ongoing every weekend.
Yeah.
But after I got out of that car, now my second car was a 74 Pontiac Le Mans, brand new, 404-barrel dual exhaust. And my biggest problem with that car was going a little too fast.
Right.
And I couldn't go fast enough. I couldn't, that was a great car for me, other than doing stupid stuff coming up 45, coming over the hills there at the overpasses at down there at where El Palenque is in Spring.
Right.
Whatever access, Spring Cypress Road.
Was that after the blimp?
Yeah, well, no, was it? Yeah, it was after the blimp. That's right. And but coming over that, and there's a traffic jam, and I could see it, so I get over to the right, and I'm riding in the shoulder. One time I got over there, and some guy with his car jacked up and changing a flat tire, and I hit those brakes, slid sideways. That was the last time I ever did that.
Yeah, it seems it's funny. That's when we learn what a car can do and what a car can't do.
Yep.
Mine was it just showered enough to get all the roads wet, and I was on Tidwell and Airline. And I was making a turn, and that road was just wet enough for me to do about 3 donuts. Yeah.
What was your second car after that one?
The second car was a Grand Prix, 76 Grand Prix.
Okay. I had an 89 Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Grand Prix was popular back
It was the
then.
first digital.
And then that was after that, it was mini cars after that. No.
Oh yeah, I can't keep count.
Yeah, my
anymore,
sister
so.
teases me all the time at our family reunions. It's like, how many cars have you wrecked?
Oh, you wrecked them? Oh, where's your safety protocol?
But that's the point. It's like you get out there and you do stuff, and you're not really in control of your car, and you can talk to the kids all day long, but you're not in control of the car.
Yeah.
Has anyone been guilty of eating in their car?
Oh.
No.
Oh.
French fries
Really?
on the seat.
You don't eat in the car?
Not as a teenager, no.
Did you open ketchup and dip your fries? Come on, Randy.
I ate in the car. I slept in the car.
You don't have to worry about putting makeup
He's
on.
talking
so
about
you're-
distracted driving there.
Do I?
He's talking about distracted driving there.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, I was not a non-distracted driver. How's that?
Yeah.
I'm still that guy who goes down the road. Is like, what's over there? Oh, look, a historic marker. Let's stop and see it.
Yeah. So we just want to focus on that, October the 20th to 26th. But like I said, it should be all year round. Talk to your teens about safety driving, and let's just be safe out there. And especially if you're teenagers listening to us, I hope y'all are, that you take this in consideration and buckle up.
Yes, there's also an organization called Safe to Save, and I think there's an app, and it has a reward system for the teenage drivers who, when they do good, they're not speeding, they're wearing their seatbelt, they get points and they get rewards for following good safety
Is that
habits.
a local organization?
Yeah,
or-
they came out to Market Street a couple years ago.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
call them back actually. Yeah.
And there's one thing here they were talking about, like safety driving courses, and I haven't verified this, but it's called Tire Rack Street Survival. So I'm gonna look into that later, and we'll maybe have that back on there.
Are they part of Tire Rack Company?
Yeah, I was
or-
curious about that
Yeah,
too.
that's what I want to look
Okay.
into. Yeah, and see if that's not something that's still available for teens.
Good.
So
You got any manufacturers laying anybody off, or
no, not
any
today.
news from this week?
We have vehicles most affected through recalls for 2024, and Tesla 2,400,000 vehicles. They're the most.
They're the most recalled?
Most recalled, yeah. Most affected manufacturer.
Got anything to do with those battery flames?
It doesn't go into detail why, but it just says that's who it was. Ford comes in second with 2,200,000. Chrysler comes in with only 963,000. Honda 700,000, even though they're supposed to be, the best car made. But yeah, they had 779,000 recalls. Toyota had their 600,000 recalls. Kia at 600. GM at 626,000. Hyundai 400,000. Mercedes-Benz even had 281,000 recalls. And Subaru at the lowest at 228,000.
Oh, I didn't hear Ford on the list. Did I miss it?
Ford's number two.
Oh, they were number 2.
2,200,000.
Oh, well.
Do you think that has to do with human error or technology? With these so many recalls, I know
There-
there's.
Many of them, Tesla's right here at 2.4 million, affected mainly due to electric system issues.
Technology.
Yeah.
Technology. And I mean, when it comes to software and stuff like that,
Yeah, and Ford and Chrysler also reported that theirs reflected the board challenges in the industry. So I don't know what that means.
Because you hear about all the airplane safety concerns now. Mechanically, you don't know if is it human error or is it just something that's going to become more
Yeah.
reoccurring.
With all these numbers being so high, all I can tell you is go by your dealer. Just ask them if there's been any recalls on my car. They'll check for you, and you'd be surprised. There might even be not a mechanical, what they call a mechanical recall, where they don't actually send the recall out to you. It's just whenever you come in, the dealers will check.
I've got that one on the truck that's still outstanding. I just
Really?
need to take the time to get it up there.
You
Yeah.
still didn't take that yet?
No, I haven't.
But also, it's good to check for any technical service bulletins, what they call TSBs. A lot of people don't do that, do their research before even buying the car.
Where do you find those?
You just do a Google search, any,
For TSB?
yeah, it's TSB on the vehicle.
Yeah.
And you'll find there's a whole list of things that'll come up or different forums of people talking about their complaints, the most common complaints on a vehicle. And, you think you're the only one going through that, but you look and there's about 30 of them all over the country. Oh my gosh, there's an actual technical service bulletin. I need to bring it to the dealership and have them address
Right,
that. But
right.
the dealership's not going to tell you that. You have to,
You have to go there.
do your own research.
Yeah. You can always go there and just ask your service advisor.
Give them the last 8 of the VIN and they can look up.
Yeah, it's always good to do because you'd be surprised how many are out there. And also on the antique and classic inspection. Now, I didn't know there was 2 different ones, antique and classic. I thought just 25 years it was considered the antique, but it's not. That 25 years is considered the classic. And then you get the antiques after that. The antique cars has never been under safety inspection.
That's because it's more difficult to.
Well, it's just never been.
They didn't have inspection.
It was always exempt from the annual inspection.
Okay.
Now, the classic still needed the safety inspection, but that is also going to go away in January.
Was that the smog?
No, this is the safety.
Safety.
So
Like
meaning
looking at
brakes.
windshield
But
wipers and
I don't
lights?
think the classic ever had to participate in the smog. I think that was the newer cars with the pollution controls on them. So I think now, and starting in January, your antiques and classics are exempt from an inspection
For safety.
for
I mean,
safety.
don't you want to make sure the car stops or has working taillights and
Well,
brake
that's
lights?
part of your safety inspection.
Okay.
But no, you just go straight to the registrar and get your tags.
Interesting.
I got to get tags for that new Mustang.
And is that the $7 fee?
$7.50.
$7.50. Oh, it went up
Got to
50
get that
cents.
50.
Got to get that 50 cents. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Makes all the difference in the world.
Okay. Do y'all have anything?
I figure Dana's probably got some sort of hint for the women that may be tuning into us here.
You're right.
Yeah, well, I'd like to get into that on
Go ahead.
another. Actually, for another show too, I have some ideas I'd like to share. But I was going to bring up for another show is going to air on the 4th. You said November 14th at Woodlands High School. Their automotive club is having a toy drive, I believe, at the high school. They're having a little show.
On the
Yeah.
14th of November.
Yeah.
What about TWCC?
Actually, I think it's. I'm sorry, December 14th.
I was going to say, okay.
Yeah, December.
November
14th.
14th, a little early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
December.
Yeah, when it came to events, I didn't see hardly anything right now for November. I mean, everybody's getting ready for Turkey Day and getting ready for their club Christmas parties and stuff like that. So really, I didn't see a whole lot of car shows or events.
Well, I know of at least one car show, and then there's a monthly Cruisin. That'll be like the first Sunday of November.
Well, yeah, November 4th, the day this thing will air. Yes.
No, that's Monday.
Okay.
November 3rd.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
Northside
that's
is
called TWCC.
Yeah, Northside is going to be November the 2nd.
Yeah, that's it.
In Bull Salas Park, and then TWCC is on the 3rd.
Yep.
But this will
Okay,
air on
and
the
then this
4th.
will air on the 4th.
And then I'll have some more too. I get a list from one of the Corvette clubs that I can share with you guys for
Yeah.
that. So.
Yeah, we got a few events out there anyhow. So
Yeah,
looking forward to the Bull Solace thing.
yeah, I think that's going to be a great show. Yesterday, my phone was burning up because everybody who signs up, I get the email. And I just was
You get
getting
the
more-
notifications
I was
too?
getting the notifications. all yeah.
So is everybody they're finally getting
They're
around to
finally
signing up now.
signing up, and I'm getting all these notifications. Ding, ding, ding. My phone's just constantly going off.
Do you have a volunteer sheet out there yet? So you've got
Yes,
volunteers
yeah,
signing up?
yeah, we've already been doing that for a couple of weeks now.
Have you? I haven't seen it anywhere.
No,
I'm going to refuse to volunteer this year.
you're already the DJ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think, did I share with you guys, come the new year, once we start obtaining more sponsorships for TWCC, we're going to create a scholarship program. So
No,
for anyone
no.
who's interested in applying for a scholarship that wants to go into the automotive field, technical school, we can use that towards tuition, or when they graduate, towards tools, because everybody needs tools when they get out in the field. They don't have tools, they're expensive. So we'll create a
So
scholarship
so
program.
wait a minute. You're going to have a scholarship program, and then how's that? How do they apply for that?
So we're going to create an application process and then go around and talk to all the schools in the area. I'd like to stick with mainly the local schools, the local college in Montgomery County. It'll focus on that rather than the big commercial schools, UTI and some other ones. But they go through a scholarship application process, and we'll make the decision and maybe pick one student per quarter. And then once they get chosen, then we will, donate the proceeds to that student, in addition to the Market Streets Change for Charity program charity that's selected.
So that's something that you're going to create that you're looking for sponsors for.
Yeah, so we're always looking for sponsors for the event, but we're going to market an additional
Right.
program element that we're adding into TWCC.
So anybody that's in a club that volunteers for TWCC that may or may not get credit for it, depending on if it's associated to the working in the community, we get credit for something in high school, and then they have the chance to volunteer or to apply for this scholarship program.
If they intend on going to an
as long as they're
automotive
going
program.
into the automotive.
Yeah, they would have to be enrolled, of course, and, we would
Yeah.
have to work with those details, but I think it would be something good to encourage the, young generation to get involved. Like I said, I just spoke to the high school, and I said, it's okay if you want to go to college, you get your degrees, that's fine, but it's always good to have a backup. Do something with your hands, be creative, whether it's plumbing,
Yeah.
electrical, automotive, because that'll always,
Yeah.
you'll always be a need
You can
for
always
it.
fall back on a skill.
Always can fall back on the skill. College education helps. Yes, it can. It teaches discipline, among other things. But, to have that background, to have that hands-on creative ability and knowledge, I think it's a very good thing. So we want to encourage people to do that. So why not, bring that in
Or
there?
you could do like what Billy was talking about just here on TireLink, is go get if you want to go to college, get your business associates, and when you get out, you can start your own business. If you want to be a mechanic, you got the IQ to run a business. You have the back, the
Yeah.
education to back you
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, because college teaches you way more than the subjects, that you're in.
Yeah.
It teaches a lot of things, and then I know people get bored with it. It may not be their thing, the book part of it, but it teaches you so much more than, what the book topics, the subjects are.
Right.
But that's why I always encourage, go to the local community college. It's smaller, it's more attentive, it's affordable. You don't have to go as long, get your certificate program and something you're interested in,
Right.
and then see where it leads from there, because you could change your mind a whole bunch of times in a 2-year period.
Yeah.
So start off small, don't make your goals too high, do smaller goals. You can achieve it. And
Or you don't want to do your 4 years and then say, you know what, I'm changing my major.
Yeah, well,
that
you know how
happens a
many
lot.
people got their degree out there and they're not using
And they're
it
not
for what they
using
want-
it, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that happens a lot. So that's why I say set smaller goals. So this way it'll be easier to achieve. You feel,
Yeah.
you have your confidence built up, and then you're ready to go to the next step.
Oh, another thing is, Billy looks like he enjoys what he's doing. So that's one of the rewards. He enjoys what he's doing, and he's making a living at it. So
And
that's
he
a-
creates that culture too in each store, which is amazing to see those kids flourish. And if you've never seen it firsthand, they really do love what they do. It comes across,
Yeah.
So that's good leadership, and it's
Yeah.
good management.
Makes a big difference.
It does.
Makes a big difference.
So yeah, that's the whole thing. We want to bring the younger generation
Right.
in. You were talking about that several shows ago, or each
Yep.
show we talk
We still
about.
want to focus on the
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
youth. Yes, they're the ones that keep it going.
Yeah, because
Mr. Youth Committee on the MCA.
Yep.
Because, yeah, you said we're going to be phased out, like 65, 70 and up. We're going to be phased out. How do
So
we get the younger people?
somebody's got to take over and run these car
Yeah,
clubs.
so
Somebody
that's,
has to, that's right.
that's what our mission is. That's one of our missions here.
That's
So
right.
We'll do it.
Well, hey, it's time for us to give some more station recognition. So, that's it for this episode of Cruisin Car Club Talk. I'm Randy Weldon. That's Robert Helmer. This is Dana Pritchard. And locked up back in the safe room / sound booth is our sound engineer and producer, Dick Schischler. We are broadcasting from the studios at Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 and 106.1 FM and streaming worldwide on irlonestar.com, Facebook, and on YouTube.
And we'll see you on the next episode. And if you can, drop us an email. We'd love to hear from you.
Bye,
Or we'll
guys.
give out Robert's personal number.
Yeah, no
Give 'em a
problem
call.
with that. See you
Thanks,
next
you guys.
time.
See you next time.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.